All eyes are on Ottawa this week as Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland prepares to release the fall economic statement. With a look at what's to come, we're joined now by Parliament Hill reporter Cormac McSweeney. Thanks for joining us today, Cormac.
Anytime.
All right, so the Finance Minister has already said she's working with limited funding right now. Are we expecting any major announcements tomorrow?
Well, let the leaks begin because, yes, we are expecting some announcements in the fall economic statement. Starting this morning, we were hearing from the CBC that the federal government is going to be working in a $15 billion 10-year loan program to try and get more housing built. Now, this loan program will be for creating new rental units across Canada. Getting those rental units built is the key issue here that they've been facing with a lot of the housing crunch. On top of that, there will be a $1 billion fund to try and get more affordable housing built as well. And there's an expectation that that could create 30,000 new housing units across Canada. There's also going to be a bit of a crackdown on short-term rentals, Airbnb being the biggest one out there. The federal government, according to the Toronto Star, is going to be bringing in new rules that would prevent people who run their own Airbnb from deducting their expenses from that Airbnb, from their income tax, and that is in areas where these short-term rentals have been sort of cracked down on. A lot of cities have said that they're not allowed anymore, or they come with significant restrictions. So in those areas, they will be preventing people as a disincentive so that they can then open up those units for more long-term renters. Also on grocery prices, another major issue facing Canadians. We're hearing that there could be more changes to the Competition Act in addition to what's already being done from the federal government to try and crack down on grocery chains and high prices right now. What that will be, we'll have to wait and see. But these are some of those bread and butter issues that the Liberals have been struggling with over this past year. And it comes at a time when they really need to hit the strike the right chord with voters because they're falling well behind the Conservatives, as much as double digits, according to a lot of the polling firms.
Now, there have been calls from Toronto Mayor Olivia Chow and Ontario's Premier for more funding from the feds to fill the city's more than $1 billion budget gap. Has there been any indication if this could happen tomorrow?
Well, it was quite interesting last week when the House was on break. Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland was in Toronto and had, I believe, at least 3 events with Mayor Olivia Chow. So, there are some hints that maybe there could be something in the works there. The Deputy Minister of Finance has also been meeting both with the province and the city to try and work through some of these issues. So we'll have to see whether we see any relief for the city in tomorrow's fall economic statement. However, the feds have said for months now that this is a provincial issue, and it is. Most cities, all of their municipal acts are done through the provincial government, and so the feds have been kicking this back to the province, saying this is Ontario's issue. Ontario has to deal with this. I think there is some hesitation as well because you do it for one city, the next city is going to ask for help, and then the next, all for things that should be provincial responsibility. So we'll see whether the feds give any relief to Toronto tomorrow.
When it comes to balancing the budget, are the Liberals expected to make any progress there?
Well, it's hard to see how they will make progress in terms of balancing the budget, but we'll have to wait and see what the numbers are. The Parliamentary Budget Officer back in October estimated that the deficit would be about $46 billion this year, which is $6 billion more than what they had been looking for in the spring budget. So the number was going up. Now we have these new initiatives that are potentially going to be announced tomorrow in the fall economic statement worth billions and billions of dollars. So it's hard to see how they make those numbers work. But the federal government has been hinting that they're going to be doing all of this with an eye on fiscal responsibility. We know the Treasury Board president as well has been working to cut a lot of government spending to try and rein in that spending and get that deficit under control. A lot of business groups say they want to see a path back to balance. The Conservatives have been calling for that as well. So we'll see whether we get one tomorrow, because the last time we did have one from this government in the very next budget, that plan was wiped away. So we'll have to wait and see what the numbers are tomorrow.
So much of what happens out of Ottawa right now is really hitting home. We're talking housing, affordability, groceries. So just how key is this update coming from the Liberals tomorrow?
Well, they're so far behind in the polls that they really do need to make sure that what they announce really hits home for Canadians, and that Canadians can see that some sort of plan is in the works, that action is being taken, and they feel confident again in the government's actions to actually deal with the problems they're facing. You know, mortgage rates are going up. People are struggling to pay to just even the rent and pick up their groceries. So it's very important. They're behind as much as 14 or 16 points according to some of the latest polls. The Pierre Poilievre Conservatives, who have done a very good job at trying to articulate the problems that Canadians are facing. We don't have another election until 2025 at the latest with this NDP supply and confidence deal, but this is a minority government. Anything could happen. If that deal falls through with the NDP, we'll be back to every single financial bill being a test of confidence in this government. And if they're trailing double digits behind, that's going to raise more questions about the future of the Prime Minister, whether he hangs around as leader, and the future of the Liberal Party as government of Canada. So we'll have to wait and see what is in this fall economic statement, but the stakes are very high for the Liberal Party right now.
And we'll be tuning into that. Thanks so much for that. Looking ahead for our City News Parliament Hill reporter Cormac McSweeney. Thanks for that, Cormac.
Anytime.